you guys ready to enter the glory hole? It's coming up. Next stop, the glory hole. Ladies and gentlemen, next up, Joe Perry and the Batleth Heads. Give them a hand. Talking the Orville. Talking the Orville, we're talking the Orville. Talking the Orville. Well, that was interesting. Hold on one second, you guys. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Talking the Orville on Egotastic FunTime. Today we're going to have a great time talking about the Orville episode. Well, all the episodes if you really want to. That's why we're here, to chat, to theorize. But we're very much going to be concentrating on tonight's episode, Cupid's Dagger, where we get a visit by a past blue person that we all saw Kelly in bed with, and it got a little gross, and there was probably some dry cleaning bills being sent to other people, I would assume. But how are you guys doing tonight? Are you excited for tonight's episode? As you all should know, as you each go to watch tonight's episode live in your time zone, for those of you lucky enough to be able to watch it live, I'm not one of those lucky people, make sure you get loud, wave, say something, scream with all caps, whatever you can do so that we can notice you and say, hey, go watch the show, thanks for coming, go watch Cupid's Arrow and come back, and Cupid's Dagger, which is way worse than an arrow, and you can come back in the commercial breaks as some of you do, or after the show. We'd probably still be here because we're going to be going from 7 o'clock my time to 9 p.m. my time. Give, never take, but give probably a few more minutes after that. It's called overtime. Hashtag Talking the Orville overtime, which eventually we'll start doing on Twitch. We'll move the show. After we do the 2-hour block on YouTube, we'll move over to Twitch and maybe, you know, talk some more, play some games, stuff like that. Not tonight, though. I got to go to sleep after this. Well, eventually after this. I have to eat dinner and all that stuff. Let's get some settings going. Let's get some hellos going. I'm glad you're all here. There's, wow, a bunch of you here. Man, I'm only a couple million people away from having PewDiePie numbers. This is crazy. Get some music going. Not too loud. If it's too loud, you let me know. And let's see who is here today with us. The participants. All right, I'm going to go down the list because I learned how to do that this time. Hello, Captain Jesse 1. Good to see you again. Carlos Gallardo? Maybe Gallardo. I'm going to say it both ways. Carlos Gallardo and Carlos Gallardo. Like tortilla. I don't know. Cobra Commander. David Figueroa. Deku Scub Lord. No, I did that wrong. Deku Scub Lord, Fractured Vision, what's up? James Whitaker, John Holland, Josiah Matthews, Karen Tuttle Kitten. What's up, Karen Tuttle Kitten? Kenneth LaRock. I'm just gonna say it that way. Kenny Kent, Kip Anderson. All right. MGHOW, man growing his own weed. I grow my weeds right here. Mr. Pete. 8680, Nick Mason, out of my head, Pedro Serrano, Richard Lane, Robert Calhoun, Savage Historian, The Accidental DM, Tina Babe, Turrican Rex from Germany, Y Zen, question mark, and YouTube user. Still my favorite YouTube username, YouTube user. It doesn't get better than that. All right, let's see what you guys are saying today. There's a lot of chat going on the screen. Now, I'm trying a new setting on this stream, the lowest latency possible. So hopefully we'll be connecting with each other a little bit quicker than, you know, previous nights. But let's see what we got going on here. Would it be weird if Blue Rob and Catan were to date, says Captain Jesse 1. Yeah, Blue Rob, is that what we're calling Rob Lowe now? Blue Rob? I don't think it would be weird for Blue Rob and anybody to date, because, you know, Rob Lowe is the most charming man to ever exist. I wish I had just a piece of that, you know, charmification within my DNA. Also, I wouldn't mind having his hairline and his body, because mine's not doing so well. Kenny Kent says, legal weed here in Portland. Stay weird, Portland. Boom, bitch, 88, JC 88. That's a lot of 88s. Blue Rob. Okay, Mr. Pete 8680 says we're going Blue Rob. Nick Mason, Blue Rob it is. Now, I was amazed just the other day when it finally came out in the Orville, you know, news sphere that Rob Lowe played Darulio in that original episode. And then I went back and I'm like, oh my God, that is Rob Lowe. And I knew he looked familiar, but at the same time, of course he didn't. I mean, why would he look familiar if it didn't have it in my mind? You put a bunch of makeup on him. But it was Rob Lowe, and I'm a huge Rob Lowe fan because I'm a huge Parks and Rec fan and because I'm just a huge Rob Lowe fan. I know he's not the greatest actor. Just kidding. If Rob, who's probably watching, you know, this is about him. You're a great actor, dude. What's up, Dark Horse 853 from Australia. Australia. What? Kenny Ken, it's illegal to pump your own gas? That's cray. So I'm super excited about tonight's episode. Now, I do have not only the regular trailer for the episode, which many of you probably saw right after last week's episode, Into the Fold. I have that queued up, ready to play. I also have a scene from the episode to play. Actually, I have a couple scenes, but I decided not only to not play this scene, but not even to watch it. I didn't even watch the scene. It's available on Fox, not Fox. Well, it might be, but it's on the Orville's YouTube page. So I have one that's kind of part of like the storyline that we don't care that much about, and then there's another scene where it's more about like Darulio and Ed and Kelly. So I'm not even going to play that, but I do want to play at least the trailer to start off the top of this stream. So let me press some buttons, and we'll do that right now, and we'll watch it together. We got, here is the regular trailer for tonight's episode Let me just put some shiz down so that we don't get it in the way here. Probably get rid of that background music. Oh, that's my job. Okay, here we go. Here is a preview for tonight's episode. This is called All Your Fault.
Oh my God.
Fox Thursday.
Where are the captain and the commander?
An old rival
There he is.
returns. How is this happening? And sends the ship into chaos.
If we go to war, it's all your fault.
Raise deflectors.
This is not good.
The Orville, starring Seth MacFarlane. All new Thursday, or anytime on demand or Fox Now.
Now let's watch it 5 more times. Now, next time we're gonna watch it in slow motion so we can pick it apart. Now I already picked the show apart from the production photos. If you watched last night's episode of Talking the Orville, featuring Rob Bluelow, let's call him Bluelow. Oh, Mr. Pete wants me to play them all. No, I'm only gonna play the scene that's between Ed and the 2 warring factions, the Navarians, I believe I called them, and the Bruidians, I believe I also called them, which are their names, actually. I just went to IMDb and I saw names of some aliens. I don't know which ones was playing which. I just had to go by the facial structure of the actors, say, okay, that looks like it's probably that guy from the trailer, and that one looks like it's probably that guy. And I was correct, I'm pretty sure. Actually, I'm positive, because it was in the scene. I only watched a part of this scene. But let's go ahead and watch it right now. This is a preview, a sneak preview, a special scene from tonight's episode of The Orville, Cupid's Dagger. There might be spoilers alert, but not really. This is put out by The Orville. This isn't like some shiz that some hacker found, okay? This isn't like North Korea stuff, you guys. This isn't China getting into our systems. This scene, well, I just called it Ed Tries to Make Peace. Ready? Here we go.
You're all barbarians. The planet is ours, and your colonies are a blatantly hostile incursion.
What's going on?
They went from 0 to furious in 2 seconds.
And that's your
Zero
justification for the killing of innocent civilians? What are we supposed to do when you attack our supply lines in order to starve us out? Starvation would be too noble a death for your kind.
Hey, guys, relax, okay? Just take a breath, all right? I know traveling's a bitch, but calm down. We're gonna get you all to your rooms and squared away. Bruidians, we have salt water for bathing in your quarters.
Oh, I'm wrong.
Navarians, we've programmed our food synthesizers to serve Cavalian spice root for dinner.
Thank you, Captain. Very thoughtful.
Now look, I know you've both agreed to honor the results of the archaeological tests, but that means one of you loses big. So here's what I'm proposing. Why don't we meet tomorrow and just talk? See if maybe there's a way for you both to peacefully share the planet.
Aww.
Just so we can say we tried.
Fine. Agreed.
Look at that. We're making progress already. Terrific. All right, so why don't you guys head to your rooms, relax, have a drink. Mini bar's on the house, so go bananas on those M&Ms, huh? All right.
All right, so we learned that M&Ms still exist. 300? No, see, the show takes place in 2419, I believe. So that's, gotta do my math. That's 300 years from now, give or take another year or two, you guys. So M&Ms still exist, but of course they do, because M&Ms are the bomb. Now, we learned that these 2 factions are kind of whiny bitches, and that makes sense because from what I hear about this episode, and let's get some background music, because I'm tired of listening to just my voice. There we go. Now, according to what I've read about this episode, which is very little, okay, we're going to talk about spoiler alerts in a second here, but this is going to be a more comedic episode. Last week, Into the Fold was very serious, very dramatic. There was some great comedy in it, but like I said in my review of it, it was more more organic to the scenes. This one is supposed to be one of those lighthearted, fun episodes. Fun stuff happens, but I bet you still everyone's lives are in danger at some point. But that could be fun as well. The accidental DM M&M should be MMCDXIX by then. Yeah. Now, if that's probably accurate. I'm going to assume that that's the accurate Roman numerals. I don't know for sure, but that's quick thinking if you're correct. Now, Jesse, I have to go back here because I read this. Okay, Captain Jesse 1 Would anyone watch a 2.5 hour long Orville movie in the theater? Well, I'd watch a 3.5 hour long one. That's just me, though. But somebody mentioned that earlier today on one of my videos. Was that you, Captain Jesse? Did you mention that? You go ahead and take credit whether or not it was you or not. This music's probably a little too loud because it's in my ears, you guys. Carlos Gallardo. I mean, Gallardo sounds great. I'm going to pronounce it that way. Carlos Gallardo says, do they have peanut M&Ms? I don't know if they have peanut M&Ms. I would hope so. I think peanut M&Ms are the only M&Ms that matter. I don't even, you know, when I was 5 or 6, I'd have regular M&Ms. You know, poor people's M&Ms. But once the peanut butter one, not peanut butter, but the peanut ones came out, that was my jam. So when it comes to M&Ms, it's gotta have peanuts in it. Maurice Willems says, I like the blob. He must be talking about Yaphet. Good old Yaphet, where you have to see, because there's that photo of Dr. Finn wearing that, you know, sexy outfit in this episode. I don't know what that's about. I'm assuming that there's, because it's called Cupid's Dagger. Usually anything that has to do with Cupid means that somebody's under the influence of like a love potion or something like that. So I'm assuming either just her or maybe everyone on the ship is under the, you know, some sort of spell. And maybe she, you know, lets loose a little bit. But does she let loose on Isaac or does she let loose on Yaphet? Yaphet's already pretty loose, so we'll have to see. I don't think she'd go all cray-cray on Isaac as of yet. I think she's going to look for him to be a role model to her kids. But I think when it's, you know, comes to knocking boots, she's going to be knocking them boots with Yaphet, you guys. If she knocks any boots. Nick Mason says, green M&Ms are racist. John Holland says, well, blobist. Fractured vision, going back to that space dolphin. Doctor falls in love with the space dolphin. Tanavi P says, Seth's Western, A Million Ways to Die in the West, was 2 hours long. He could definitely make a great long Orville movie. Of course he can. He's got the greatest writers that he's ever had under his belt, finally, working on this show. One episode is an hour. I mean, you just have 2 episodes and make them really great episodes, which every episode's a great episode of the Orville, you guys. And boom, you got a movie. Now, we're coming down to the wire here. This is episode 9, so we only got, after tonight, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 more episodes of the Orville. I'm hoping the final episode is at least a 2-hour season finale, hopefully, but, you know, you can't expect all of that. This show's an expensive show. Peyote Pete says, I want to go to the zoo with Kelly. Yeah, I'll go. Oh, are you talking about the human or the alien zoo from episode 2? Yeah, I'd go to that zoo with Kelly any old day. Out of my head, if Seth MacFarlane were offered the position of showrunner on an official Star Trek show, would folks here want him to take the job or pass it up to continue creating Orville? At this point, I'm going to say I don't want him under the thumb of CBS so that they can force him to make probably a better Star Trek than we're getting right now, but still not as good as he could possibly do it, because, you know, it's super corporate land over there. It's dead. Star Trek's dead. I mean, as long as the people that own Star Trek are making Star Trek. I want him to continue with the Orville, because the Orville is open. He can make great Star Trek with the Orville and have complete power to do whatever he wants. Nick Mason, how does Seth MacFarlane find time to do the voice of Peter in Family Guy? Well, I'm guessing it's not that, doesn't take that much of a time commitment for him anymore. Everybody, you know, he's got a whole team probably doing the work as far as writing and stuff goes. He comes in, says the line, just like all of them do in voice work. I mean, it's hard work. It's not, you know, super easy, but, you know, once you get into the rhythm, I'm sure he goes in, has a block of times, you know, set, probably does it all in a couple, probably does the whole season in a couple weeks. Short days, too. Y Zen says, hi, it's my 28th birthday. I'm watching from London. Hello. Or as they say in London, hello. The Orville is the best Star Trek since DS9. Yes, Yes, it is. I say it's the best Star Trek since the last Star Trek show. And happy birthday, by the way. I remember being 28. It was a good year. Out of my head says, what if Netflix bought the TV rights from CBS? Well, that would be amazing. I don't think CBS would ever give up the property of Star Trek unless they were offered billions at this point, because even without making a Trek series, they still make money off of Trek. So there'd have to be some crazy deal. But God, wouldn't it be amazing if Netflix, because Netflix has got a lot of, they got all the money, and they throw in every show that they have. They throw just tons of money at every show they have, and they don't get in the way of the creators of the show. So it would be amazing. Of course, they would have to actually get some Trek fans to be involved to actually make that Trek show. Tanavi P says, I reckon the aliens all make peace at the end and sing together. I reckon that too. That's why the crew are all sitting watching together. Now, of course, yeah, I'm guessing that scene where they're all in the mess hall together watching something, whether it be a person or a TV show, I'm guessing it's a person, because, you know, there's those shots where, you know, they're like, yeah, and they're just a little too much for a TV show to be having that type of reaction. So I'm guessing it's a person, or at least, you know, maybe a voyeuristic type camera. Maybe they see maybe they're watching old YouTube videos of fails. I mean, I do get like excited when I see somebody fall on their face. That could be what's going on. But also notice in that picture, everyone's got their jackets undone. There's actually a lot of shots of those pictures from the production of the episode where people have their shirts or their jackets unzipped. Now, I don't know if it's because they finally came up with a new design for their undershirts and they wanted to show them off, so everyone's like that, or maybe the environmental controls have gone down, and so maybe it's a little hotter than usual on the ship, or maybe those two warring factions. Now, listen to this, because you know some of you are going to be watching the episode pretty soon. I'm guessing that in order to make those two warring factions comfortable, the ship has to be a lot warmer than usual. What? What? Maybe those people like it hot. You know, some like it hot. So, you know, quote me on that and let's see if I'm right. I like making predictions. I'm all about predictions, you guys. I've watched a lot of TV in my life, and, you know, most shows and movies that I watch, I'm usually, you know, saying the next line of dialogue correctly without ever seeing it before. Just because, you know, there's not a lot of options. People write the same stuff over and over again. Carlos Gallardo says, JP, where do I get the Orville t-shirt like that? Well, this shirt here, one of 5 different shirts, Orville shirts that I have, you can find at the Talking the Orville shop on Amazon.com. Here, I'll post a link. People seem to like this shirt. Here's a link to this particular shirt, but I do have a shirt that I just ordered. Oh God, I can't wait till I get it. Oh, I'm so proud of this shirt. I'll see if I can show it to you guys. I don't think I can. But anyway, here's the shirt that I'm wearing. This is the Orville Crew shirt, available on Amazon.com at the Talking the Orville store. Also, well, I guess in the future, blue M&Ms could be more of a standard M&M. Pedro Serrano says, why would one of these two factions insist on only blue M&Ms? I'm guessing it has to do with, there's stories of, I can't remember which rock star. It might have been Ozzy Osbourne. Well, that might have been a story from Wayne's World. But there was like a rock star that says, I want, in my dressing room, I want a big bowl of only like brown M&Ms or green M&Ms or something like that. And musicians do that, or you know, stars put these really meticulous things in their you know, must-haves, just to see if people are actually reading the list. So if they see the green M&Ms or the brown M&Ms, they know that their contract was actually read by the people that are supposed to be doing whatever they, do for them. It's a little trick, but it's also a very funny scene from Wayne's World 2. I had to bite them to death with their own shoe. Got my little special beverage for tonight, you guys. I call it Yaphet's juice. Van Halen, that sounds about right. Wiseman said, no. Fractured Vision says Van Halen has them pull out all the brown M&Ms to make sure. Yep, that sounds about right. Wiseman, you don't deliver to the UK? Tried to order from Amazon. I'm sorry, Wiseman. I don't have it. I don't know how to set that up. It's all Amazon. It's actually all Amazon. I'm working with them. They make the shirts for me. I design them. They sell them on their site. They actually print them up. They make them. They ship them. So I'm bound to their rules. But I did see. I think there's some settings I can go into, and I could sign up for a UK store. So I'll see if I can do that. And I'll see if I can do that tomorrow if there's an option, and then I'll let you guys know. Do you think Yaphet leaves goo in all the pipes? I don't know, because Yaphet, I was just thinking about this yesterday. There's that picture of, Claire in tonight's episode. The music's still too loud for me. Stupid music. Music's the worst. Why did we ever invent it? There's that picture of Dr. Finn in the doorway, all sexied up. We don't know why. And I was thinking, of course, is that Yaphet's room or Isaac's room? And I'm thinking, well, I actually looked at the floor. I'm like, Yaphet's gooey and wet. Wouldn't his, his walkway, his floor of his quarters, why would he even have quarters, really? I guess because of fairness. Wouldn't his floors be, like, dirty or gross because, he's going through it? But, his goo is part of his body, so I'm guessing he doesn't leak. People shake his hand and they don't wipe it off afterwards. So I'm guessing that he actually isn't, leaky or wet or getting things all messed up. But yeah, Tanavi P. Yaphet, I don't think he leaves goo in all the pipes unless he wants to leave goo in the pipes. He might be leaving goo in Dr. Finn's pipes tonight. We'll just have to wait and see. And speaking of waiting and see, okay, in last night's episode, the Rob Lowe guest starring on the Orville episode that I did, in the middle of the episode I put, I did a little spoiler alert joke. Because somebody watched something of one of my episodes and said, "Oh, dude, not cool. You should have said spoiler alert." But here's the thing: I have no spoiler alerts. I have access to all the same information that everybody has access to. Usually, most of the information I get is either, I type in, Orville news and I do some research, or I go on to IMDb and see what the Orville actually released for us to read. And so I really don't have any more access to information than anybody else. I'm not special as far as, I'm not privy to any insider information. I'm just a big fan of the Orville like all of you guys are. So when I said spoiler, I was just being a dick. I don't have any spoilers. So, when I talk about the Orville, if it's before an episode airs, it's all just me. It's fan theories. And then if it's a review of an episode, well, if you haven't seen the episode, you shouldn't watch a review. So that's, of course, going to be spoiler alerts. Spoiler alerts. Yeah, Chet. I love the fact that I just said, yeah, Chet. That's from, like, a Weird Science. Yeah, Chet Sandberg. Rob Lowe guesses on the Orville tonight. It's the big news right now. David Figueroa says, I hate STD. I like Star Trek Continues and the Orville and Star Trek Online. Of course, all of those things, even now, Star Trek Discovery is Star Trek because it's owned by the people that make Star Trek, and they call it Star Trek. Star Trek Continues, that's a fan production. Of course, it's a great fan production. And the Orville is just, an incredible sci-fi show made by fans of Star Trek, so that's a fan production too, just really good. And Star Trek Online, I guess that, yeah, Star Trek Online is owned by the people that make Star Trek, because they got a lot of guest stars in that game. Actually, I think they got, like, LeVar Burton. I think Leonard Nimoy did some voice work as Spock in that game, as well as many others. Captain Jesse 1 says maybe Yaphet should man the damage control fire suppression system console. Maybe I wonder if what's up with Yaphet? Maybe he's fireproof, like like a fireproof jelly. Karen Tuttle Kitten says non-compatible species, Dr. Flynn. I don't know if there was a. I like a lady with extra jelly. I'm ready for that jelly. I can handle it. Robert Calhoun says raw blue leaves blue goo. Raw blue leaves blue goo. That's one way to get rid of your stutter. Nick Mason, LOL, STD. That's exactly what it gives me every time I watch Star Trek Discovery. Diabolus Ex Machina. Hi, JP. Love the show. Thanks a lot, Diabolus. Or Diablos Ex Machina. Diablos Ex Machina. I was going to say that. That'll get rid of your stutter, too. Mirandu Khan, worse than Enterprise. Well, going to Star Trek real quick. Enterprise had a rough start. I was very like, I don't know about this. I don't really want a prequel. It's interesting. And then it was kind of weird the first season and a half. And then it started getting interesting. And then 3 and 4. Seasons 3 and 4 of Enterprise I loved. But, too little too late, guys. It's all about T'Pol, though. I'll tell you that. Yeah, I look forward to getting into Discovery once all the episodes are available for free. Out of My Head says, I love Season 4 of Enterprise. But will you love Season 8 of The Orville? Because I'm hoping we get at least 8 seasons. Peter Productions, Hoshi and T'Pol. Mirandu Khan says, oh wait, first let me go back. Peter Productions says, Hoshi better than T'Pol. I just straight up disagree with that. And then Mirandu Khan says, Alara greater than T'Pol. Oh, what? Zero Fire 18 says, when is Picard coming to the Orville? Well, Captain Jean-Luc Picard will never come to the Orville, I assume. But Patrick Stewart, there is no news as of yet. Anything, there used to be a little bit of, hints here and there that Patrick Stewart was coming to the show. But when you do a lot of research on the Orville like I do, you see a lot of the stuff disappearing. And it's not just about him. It's about all the stars that are on the show. Seth MacFarlane said that he's very, tight-fisted when it comes to information about the show, as far as like, cameos and stuff like that. Because he said that he likes surprises. He's tired of, everything's a spoiler nowadays. By the time you get to an episode of something, everything about it, and it can never live up to your thoughts about it. So even Rob Lowe's, actually I'll check right now, even Rob Lowe's cameo tonight, as of earlier today, it was not up on IMDb, and this has been the case with every known name that's been on the show. They don't release the information that they're, they don't put it on IMDb until the show airs, or right up to when it airs, or a couple days after the fact. I mean, it's still not even on episode 1 of the Orville on IMDb that Rob Lowe was in that first episode. That was, 9 episodes ago, and it's because they knew he was going to show up in this episode, and they wanted to keep it, a secret for as long as possible. But now in the last couple days, it's all over the place. They let the information out. I'm gonna look up the Orville right here live for you guys on the IMDb's, and we'll see if they've updated the new episode yet. The information for episode 9, Cupid's Dagger. Come on, interwebs. I also have an update on episode 11's title. Okay, I'm looking at the cast right now. Rob Lowe is still not there. I'm guessing he won't be there until, either tonight or tomorrow. or a couple days, because you know they're not that big of a hurry. But I do know that episode 11, okay, episode 10, next week's episode is called Firestorm, which I talked about that with the Robert Picardo episode that I did, because he's coming to the show. By the way, in that episode, Firestorm, if you go on imdb.com, there's a great picture. One of our favorite outfits that Alara wore in episode 2 is making a return in next week's episode. But episode 11, which I'm not going to get into the plot or anything, I'll do that next week. It's called New Dimensions, and that's intriguing to me. As soon as, you know, I love dimensional, you know, shifts and, you know, traveling in other dimensions, just like Sliders. Maybe it'll be a Sliders type episode. Mirandu Khan says Michael Burnham is unbelievably unlikable. I don't even know yet. I love that actress when she played Sasha on The Walking Dead. I have no idea about Discovery. I'm just waiting for all the episodes to come out, and then I'm going to watch it. No, I'm going to give it a fair review. I'm not going to follow the show, but I'm going to do a review on Egotastic FunTime about what I think about it, and I'm going to be as fair as possible. Mirandu Khan says, Orville has character development every episode. Yes, they do. And with last week's episode, like I said in my review of it, every bridge officer has had an episode dedicated to them now. So now it's time to, you know, do the cycle over again. Of course, this episode tonight is going to be heavily geared towards Ed and Kelly. Next week's episode is going to have a heavy focus on Alara, and then the episode after that, I have no idea. Hopefully Bortus, because Bortus has taken, you know, a back seat in this last, God, every episode since episode 3. I mean, usually he just gives off a real funny one-liner really quick at the beginning of the episode, like, now entering the glory hole, and then boom, that's it. That's all we see of him. Sometimes some shots of him in the, you know, taking the bridge to control the bridge, and he's doing this, you know, looking stern while things go on, but that's about it. So hopefully we get some Bortus back. Jonah Doob says we definitely need a Bortus-centric episode. Yes, what's going on with him and Clyden? You know, Clyden was unhappy with Bortus because Bortus is a workaholic. You know, Clyden is a Rocky Road junkie now. So we definitely got to see what's going on with them. I love the fact that with Bortus and Clyden's people, I can't remember what they're called. I think it's also with a K. I don't know. I can't remember. That's how long it's been. I like how the whole planet, you know, because they're all males, they're all so male chauvinistic. They're so chauvinistic that they're all gay because women aren't good enough. So it's a really funny take on how far male chauvinism can go, is because, at least amongst their own people, is that, yeah, women, we hate women so bad that we only sleep with dudes. That's pretty funny. Jonah Doob says, exactly how stressful having a newborn on a galactic starship must be. Yeah, and it's obviously Clyden's the one who has to do all the work with the baby. But also, at first I was thinking that baby was the only kid on the ship, and then last week on Into the Fold we find out that Dr. Finn has 2 kids living with her, and then we find out that, yeah, there's families on the ship. So I guess we're going to be introduced to more and more kids, because especially if we follow Ty and Marcus, Dr. Finn's kids, there's going to be situations just like they did in, you know, every show that has, sci-fi show that has, you know, kids, is we're going to be introduced to other kids, and those kids are going to have problems and that we have to be worked out. And I'm guessing that Isaac will be the one that helps the kids work out whatever problems come up in the future. Small ship for families. Yeah, I never got into that. Even with the Next Generation, you know, they're like, oh, we have families on the ship? That's weird. These ships get into trouble, life-threatening trouble, every single week. Why are there kids on this ship? I don't know. Captain Jesse 1 says, how large is the Orville civilian crew? I have no idea. Because here's the thing is, like, you know, Clyden's on the ship, Bortus is man, and does he have a job besides just being, you know, Clyden's husband and baby daddy? Does he have a job, you know, even before the baby was there? Does he have something he does on the ship, or is he just like, just living there? Tanavi says there are 300 people on the ship in total. Well, that's good to know. Now, that's interesting. As we know, this is a mid-sized ship, and we have seen other ships from the Union, and they seem way more than double the size of the Orville. So, I mean, how many people do they get on these gigantic ships? Yeah, they did capture a Krill shuttle and cruiser, Fractured Vision says. Deku Scrublord says, I reckon they probably have small jobs like repair, cleaning, etc. Yeah, wouldn't that be funny if Clyden is like a maid? He just goes to the rooms and just cleans them, makes the bed, and then goes on to the next one. He has like a little cart. Yeah, Karen Tuttle Kitten says there are kids and families because otherwise the crew would never be able to see their kids or families. That's true. I mean, you're going really far away. Really far away. But, you know, we got the military where the people are gone for years and they don't see their families. David Figueroa says the Orville crew is basically like a Miranda class ship. Yeah, Chet Sandberg, Braga, and McFarlane work better together than you'd think. Yeah, I think McFarlane would probably... Well, I know McFarlane, people like working with McFarlane because he's just a regular dude. You know, he works hard, but he's fun, and, you know, he's loose, and he's got his mind on the prize. But also, he probably worked good with anybody that worked on Star Trek because he's such a fanboy. Jeff Smulders, how about an Orville version of the Mirror Universe? Yes, that's something we are all waiting to see. Maybe episode 11, New Dimensions, brings that in to the storyline. Cameron Henderson says, did you check out... Oh, I gotta scroll past. Did you check out Adrian Paliki's AMA on Reddit, the Orville? You know what? I clicked on it when I was at work because apparently it happened a little bit earlier than I thought it was going to happen. Time differences, you guys. And I just couldn't figure it out. I clicked on it and it just had a list of things people asked. I couldn't see her responses. So I don't know if there was something more happening while it was happening. I guess I was there a few minutes too late. And so I didn't really understand it. I wasn't able to comment on anything. It was just getting crazy. Fractured Vision reminds us that it's not a military ship. That's true. It's an exploration. It's an exploratory ship. Who has to do, you know, basically get into military actions every single episode. By the way, Orville kicked some ass. You know, they got some crazy weapons on there. What was those torpedoes that they had? I can't remember what they called them. I don't know if they're quantum torpedoes or what, but they definitely got some heat-seeking, you know, technology going because they can just go shoot out and then swing back around and blow some shiz up. 4 at a time as well. Plasma torpedoes. Yeah, that makes more sense. They kind of have that plasma look to them when they blow up. Steven Sanders says they get their butts kicked in the head in a head-to-head fight every time. Yeah, that's true. Which is also cool. It's like, because, you know, remember with like the Enterprise in TNG, anytime they get in a fight, the Enterprise is like, what up? Shields, 100%. And then, you know, it took forever for those shields to go down. The Orville takes damage every time, which is cool. Man growing his own weed asks, why is the name Orville? Well, they call it the Orville after Wilbur and Orville Wright, the two Wright brothers that invented flight. They invented the airplane back in 1900 and something, possibly 1901. I can't remember. Tyler X2F01 says they are plasma torps. I think the Orville is the... Chet Sandberg says, I think Orville is to show it's just a middle-sized ship, not the pride of the fleet. Yeah, it's not the pride of the fleet. Even in the first episode, when they gave the Orville to Captain Mercer, they said, you weren't our first choice. We just needed bodies. So, you know, they just had this this mid-sized ship. They needed a captain. Hey, man, why don't you take it? Now, here's something I wanted to bring up, and I'm going to talk about this. Hopefully, we'll find out more about this soon, because they've kind of left this storyline, you know, hang since the first episode. At the end of the first episode, Kelly was talking to the Admiral, and he said something to the effect of, oh, does Ed know? Like, I guess something about, like, she has more to do with this than he knows about. There's something like she has the power. Maybe they offered her the ship, and she said, no, you should have Ed do it, and I want to be his first officer. Something like that. There's some sort of backstory going on, something underlying what we've seen, however you say that in words, that I'm thinking is going to come up. Now, this is an Ed and Kelly episode. Maybe it comes up in this episode. I don't know. But there's something going on there, and they haven't talked about it. Wilburs of the world, unite! Yeah, wouldn't that be funny, Chet Sandberg, if they called the ship the Wilbur? That would have been... That might have come up when they were creating the show, and they said, no, we just can't do that. I want a ship that's called the Redenbacher. I'm sorry. It's just got to happen. We are Redenbacher. We're all Redenbacher. Now, some people should be able to start watching the new episode tonight in about 12 minutes. So, you know, pretty soon here, people are going to be heading off. And let's see who's in the room right now. We got participants. I don't know who you know, they don't have it in the order of coming, but I see Nerd of Anarchy is here, Pia Riza is here, Robert Calhoun, Spank78, Doom Turkey 83. What's up, Chet Sandberg? Anthony Spec F. Anthony is Spec as F. Anyway, I hope you guys... And Schnick, what's going on? Hope I didn't miss anybody. I'm sure I did. It's just they don't have a order of appearance type thing going on. Out of my head says, alas, I won't be able to watch tonight's episode until tomorrow night. Same here, out of my head. I haven't tried out my antenna yet to try to get live TV. Of course, I stream everything. I've streamed everything since 2008. I've mentioned before. So what I'm going to do is what I do every week that there's a new episode of The Orville is I'm going to get home from work tomorrow. I'm going to cook me up something. I'm going to pour me up something. I'm going to watch a couple of other shows real quick to get warmed up. Then I'm going to watch The Orville. And while I'm watching it, I'm not even going to think about it. I'm just going to enjoy it. That's what I do every week, is I just enjoy it. I don't think about doing this. I don't think about writing a script. And then throughout the night, I just think about what I watched. And then the next day, I try to... the next day I watch it again. This time I'm taking notes while watching it. And then I watch some other, you know, what other people might have said about it. And that makes me think. And then I start writing the script for it and figuring out what I want to say, and that takes a couple hours. And then I gotta film it, which that takes like 20 minutes, and then I have to edit it, and that takes about 6 hours. So that's why my reviews usually don't come out till late Sunday night or Monday night, because the editing process on the reviews is killer. But that's fine. That's fine. I made a pledge to myself that when I do Orville stuff, especially an episode review, I'm going to put everything into it and make it as high quality as I can. But I am going to start coming out with other videos soon, not Orville related, you know, other cool nerd stuff, where, you know, it doesn't have all that editing, just because I'm going to reserve the editing time for Orville videos. Now, somebody just said something that... Oh yeah, it's real simple. Kip Anderson, Japan. Kip, were you the one in Japan last week? Fractured vision. Last episode, all those mutants Isaac stunned were gone in the wide and aerial shots. Yeah, maybe they, I don't know, maybe they got up and... You would think they'd still be stunned. I don't think anybody gets stunned and then gets up 2 minutes later. And that's actually, there's been a lot of people in my Into the Fold review, a lot of people have commented like how they just hate that Dr. Finn killed those people. She killed her captor, and they just hate it. And I'm like, well, yeah, you know, she was walking the moral, ethical line there, but also that dude was keeping her from her kids. He wouldn't let her go, and I'm sure if she tried to leave without stabbing him, he was going to physically stop her. So you don't get in the way of a mother and a kids. And so that's where the show is a little bit more realistic. I don't think if this were a Trek episode that anybody would have gotten gutted unless, you know, or shot unless they were really doing, you know, coming on strong with the threats. But this show's like, you know what? Mother's trying to get to her kids. They might be in trouble. They might need her. Boom! Right in your gut, dude. And then wouldn't have gotten shot if you didn't have a pistol on him. That's all I gotta say. Fractured Vision says she was wrong, but she's so right. That's true. You know what? She's wrong and she's right. But she's so right. Pedro Serrano says Dr. Finn could set an appointment with the ship's counselor. I think she might be the ship's counselor. She's the only one I've seen giving anybody advice. I think Isaac should be the ship's counselor. Yeah, Chet Sandberg. Chet says, I didn't realize she was Mrs. Cisco till someone mentioned it. Yeah, when the show first started, I was like, she looks familiar. And then, of course, instantly everyone's like, oh, yeah, that's Cisco's lady. I'm like, oh, yeah, totally. She actually recently just got back from a DS9 reunion just a couple weeks ago. So she's got pictures on Twitter with her and, like, you know, all the DS9 people because she's one of them. Kip Anderson says, I'm probably the only Kip in Japan. Let's see. I think there's a printer company called Kip that might be Japanese, or is it German? No, I think it's Japanese. There's a company called Kip that make printers. Kip printers. Captain Jesse, I could see Catan getting a little kinky with her boyfriend. Hopefully she doesn't get too kinky, because if she loses control, she'll just snap the dude in half. But also, she's in between relationships right now. She's had 2 boyfriends in 2 months, and she's broken up with both of them because they can't handle how strong she is. I would only not be able to handle how strong she is if she kept accidentally hurting me. Hurting me too much. There is a limit. Chet Sandberg says, I'm not the only Chet in Utah because Mormons love old-fashioned names from the 80s. Oh my god. Tyler X2 FO1 says, why does Marina Sirtis call DS9 Deep Throat 9? Now, that's either a real question because of her accent, or it's a joke set up. And if you have the punchline, go ahead. Why does Marina Sirtis call DS9 Deep Throat 9? Marina calls it Deep Sleep 9, Jeff Stamper says. Chet Sandberg says, I'd let Alara hurt me. Well, we'll see. She could probably hurt you pretty easily. Jeff Stamper says, Riker calls it Deep Throat 9. Fractured Vision says, at least you're not Derek, Chet. I'm guessing Fractured Vision is Derek. Everybody call him Derek. He doesn't get the cool Fractured Vision name anymore. It's Derek. No, she does in all conventions. She does in all conventions. Oh, okay. So you're actually asking. Well, she either started saying that as a joke and can't get it out of her head, or she's just got her accent, which doesn't sound anything like Deanna Troi. You know, Deanna Troi's like, yes, Data, absolutely. you know, real soft spoken. Oh yes, Captain. And then, you know, when you hear her in convention, she's like, oh yeah, Captain, oh, gotta go on a white mission. I'm like, shh, quiet. All right, David Figueroa, goodbye. Going to watch The Orville. David Figueroa, go watch The Orville. Cupid's Dagger, starring Rob Lowe as Darulio. Now, hey, let's talk about Darulio, you guys. Now, I'm sure some more of you are going to be leaving as well, I'm guessing. And I see some questions coming in. But with Darulio, now, Kelly was with Darulio. I'm pretty sure the relationship didn't end badly. You know, I guess maybe Kelly said, okay, we got to end this. It ruined my marriage. Do you think Darulio is showing up to say, hey, Kelly, let's get back together. I miss your you. I miss it. Let's get back together. I'm guessing they do, because that's what would be the point otherwise. Spank78 says, haha, JP, do that accent again. Oh yeah, Captain, gonna go on a white mission. Tighter. Oh look, Commander Rocker without his beard. That's sexy Deanna Troy. That's Deanna Troy from all the TNG movies. Mr. P8680 says the Doctor calls Voyager Star Trek Voyager. That's silly. That must have been a cast joke. Nerd of Anarchy says, Ego, what's been your favorite aspect of the show so far? Oh man, my favorite aspect of my favorite thing about the show is it's doing the type of sci-fi that I like, which is Gene Roddenberry sci-fi. You know, the hopeful, optimistic future, you know, where humanity is like, okay, we fixed all of our shiz. Now let's go out into the universe and discover and explore and, you know, learn stuff about other people. But also, it's got raunchy humor, which I also love. I ain't gonna lie. I likes me the raunchy humor. I like glory hole jokes, okay? So it's taking both of those worlds and giving us some great drama with some great comedy that mixes together pretty well most of the time. And it just makes me feel good when I'm watching it. And also, it's just got some great stories that make you think. Like I keep saying, If the Stars Should Fall, or Should Appear. If the Stars Should Appear episode is one of those episodes you're like, whoa, what would happen if people lived on a spaceship so long that they forgot they were on a spaceship? You know, things that make you think about a situation that you never would have thought about, because we live on Earth in this planet and those type of things don't happen. So just like Star Trek used to do, make me think about situations I never would have thought about before, because they never would have presented themselves to me on this planet. That is what I love about the show. And Kelly. Everyone is in the Lara. I'm actually into Kelly, to tell you the truth. She's more my type. Alright, let's scan back down. Robert Calhoun says it's pickle time. Alright, Robert Calhoun, you go watch the show. You say hi to Rob Lowe for us. Come back if you got time, because we're going to be here until 9 o'clock. That's one more hour from now. And actually, just so I don't lose track of time, let's get some science going. Alexa, start a timer for 1 hour.
1 hour, starting now.
Science. Amazon science. Tyler XF2F01 says, Rob Blue hitting on Bortus? That'd be funny, because, you know, Darulio, the character's name is Darulio. You know, it reminds me of like a Don Julio, or a, you know, a Latin lover type of name. So maybe he's like, you know, maybe he's real, you know, liberal as fuck, like John Ralphio from Parks and Rec. He flirts with everybody, you know, like Captain Jack from Doctor Who. I wouldn't doubt it. I'm sure everyone, when he hits the scene, Darulio is going to be loved by everyone. Dudes want to be him, and ladies want to do him. And dudes probably want to do him, because he's blue. Chet Sandberg appreciated T'Pol's catsuits. We all did. Actually, you know what? We were all impressed with season 1's suit that she would wear, the cat suit. But now that I see, I'm like, ugh, that kind of looks weird. It's when they softened her up a little bit, season 2 and onward. She started wearing that blue thing, and her hair was a little bit longer. I'm like, okay, now that's a lady. All right, Daxonal DM, it's time for the Orville. See everybody at the commercial break. Hey, all right, we'll see you in 8.5 minutes, and you can stay for the duration of 4 minutes, because from what I hear from you guys, those commercial breaks are long. You can get a lot of work done in those commercial breaks. Oh, Captain Jesse. I don't know if that's from the... It couldn't possibly be from the episode. It's only 8:01. But they're mentioning something about possible karaoke. That'd be fun. That'd be one reason people are like, yeah, what's up? Fracture Vision says to Paul, first 2 seasons, the Enterprise clenched her teeth like she was coked out. Oh, Kenny Kent brings up 7 of 9's cat suit. Yeah, that was a cat suit. I don't know, man. Why'd you put that into my brain right now? Now I can't even concentrate on doing this show. Not that I'm doing much, just reading what you guys say and rambling off. Mr. P 8680 gives us a reminder: don't spoil it during commercial breaks. There was a couple of close calls last week. Nothing really crazy. People were pretty good, but there were a few things I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna mention that. Jet Samberg says, an actress in LA coked out, unimaginable. True. Now I want to see. One thing I want to see is, you know, we've seen Alara do some badass stuff, and I think next week we're going to see Alara do some badass stuff. I want to see Kelly do some badass stuff. You know, well, she did do badass stuff in what was that? If the stars should appear, she was a victim. She was captured, but she was being badass the whole time. So I guess she was badass, and she punched Priya right in the face. So I guess I'm just wanting her to continue being badass. We've seen Captain Mercer be badass on that Krill ship. I'm really surprised. Now, I think there's one thing that we're all waiting for, because we had a Lamar episode. We had I almost said LeVar almost. We had a Lamar episode and we had a Gordon episode, but we haven't had a Lamar and Gordon episode. I want Lamar and Gordon to go on an away mission or have an adventure together. But it might be tough because Lamar's the... What is he? He's the navigator, right? He's the navigator, and then Gordon is the helmsman. So I don't know if they can both be gone at the same time. I'm worried about that. Cobra Commander says, I live in LA, but I'm not coked out. Man, Cobra Commander, I used to live in LA. That's where I'm from. And I miss it. I don't miss the traffic, but you know, out here it's starting to get kind of trafficy, so I might as well go back to LA if it wasn't so damn expensive. Chet Sandberg, what was the Gordon episode? It was actually the Krill episode. People forget about it because he was in Krill makeup the entire time, but that was a Gordon episode. We saw Gordon on a full 1-hour adventure. Spank78, kind of surprised the chief engineer isn't the main character. So you're talking about Chief Newton. I think they're utilizing Chief Newton more and more. Remember, he saved the day in that pre-episode with that drill drilled in. So and he was in last week's episode during the Barry Manilow scene. So they're getting him. You know, they're integrating him more and more. I don't think they used to use Scotty that much in the original series, and then eventually they used him more and more, and then he became like a big deal. Somebody just asked me. Chet Sandberg says, where are you, JP? I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The only city in Oklahoma that isn't lame. Sorry, anybody else who might be in Oklahoma. Oklahoma City's a big old cool city with lots of stuff going on, but it doesn't have the appeal of Tulsa. It doesn't have this cool vibe that Tulsa has. Of course, it's as good as Tulsa's vibe is. I'd prefer to be back in California. That's my vibe, just because that's my vibe. But it's way cheaper to live here, you guys. It's like so much cheaper. Fractured Vision says Chief will be accused of murder on a pleasure planet. Oh god, that'd be hilarious. Now, didn't that happen to Riker? Was it a pleasure planet? No, it wasn't a pleasure planet that Riker was on. He was visiting that scientist's house, and then the wife had some sort of did some sort of thing, and she had her story, and she said that Riker murdered her husband, and they had these digital recreations of him doing it. It was a pretty amazing episode. It's like a soap opera. Mr. P8680 says, "What's Tulsa backwards? It's a slut." It's one of the first things I learned when I moved here. Pedro Serrano says, "I like the camera work displayed on this show." I assume you're talking about the Orville, which I agree. Now, if you watch episode 1 of the Orville, which is great, but then you go to episode 2, you'll see a very different type of cinematography going on between the episodes. They really stepped up their game with the second episode. It looked more, you know, movie-like. Better angles, better lighting, this is that. But, you know, the first episode was the pilot. You know, they always figure stuff out. You know, every show figures things out a little bit better by the second episode because there's such a big gap between them. Chet Sandberg says, "I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah." So he goes SLUT, slut. So we're both in the slut right now. Charlie Brenow says, "Ego, do you watch Supergirl or DC Legends of Tomorrow or The Gifted? It's hard to find sci-fi without SJW and the feels these days." Well, yeah, there's a little bit, but also I see a lot of different people have different opinions, different definitions of what social justice warrior means. There's people were calling last week's episode, Into the Fold, social justice warrior something. I'm like, what are you talking about? Into the Fold? What social justice stuff did they have in that episode? So I just see different people have different stuff going on, as you know, as far as that that word goes. Oh, but there's still a question involved. I watched the first couple seasons of Supergirl and I actually just got behind. I do plan on catching up someday, but there's just so much TV out there, you guys, and I spend so much time working on Egotastic FunTime, especially now that, you know, there's people that actually care to watch some of my episodes, which is great. But I love Supergirl. I was having a little bit of a problem, and it's the same problem I have with some of the CW superhero shows, is that, you know, it starts off with a hero, and it's great, and then eventually everybody on the show becomes a superhero as time goes on, and that was kind of happening with Supergirl, but, you know, I got over it. My big CW show that I watch is The Flash. I love that show, and it's got its foibles as well, but I look, you know, I put on my blinders and I'm like, I'm into it, I don't care. So that's my CW superhero show. DC Legends of Tomorrow, of course, I'm very familiar with that because of all the crossovers they do with Supergirl and The Flash. But yeah, I'm not into that show. I think it's just a little too much for me. As far as too many. Oh, you know what it was? What put me off was they had what was it, Captain Cold? Captain Cold. I can't stand that character, and that was, and you know, the very, you know, first season or two, he's one of the stars. And I'm like, I'm not even gonna watch the show because I cannot stand Captain Cold. Stupid. Pedro Serrano says, the way Isaac was shot wearing Mr. Potato Head pieces was perfect. Yeah, it is. Actually, my next my next idea for a t-shirt design is gonna be something with Isaac and those Mr. Potato Head pieces. But I have to design it, and then I have to get it approved. It's very, you know, with Amazon, Well, at first it was very hard to get stuff approved. Now they approve almost everything that I design, which is weird. I don't know how I got this through. I was like, wow, that was insane. So I'm very happy with this shirt. And actually, I'm happy with, oh man, I'll put a link up. I'm just I just ordered it today. I can't wait for it to arrive. It should be here in a day or two. Look at this shirt I designed, you guys. I'll just put a link right here. I cannot wait to get this. This is my favorite Orville shirt so far. It's a krill shirt. It's a krill and it says, Avis, we try harder. I cannot wait to get it. Charlie Brunau says, Ego, have you heard about Space Command show by Mr. Sci-Fi? Yeah, Space Command. I know I didn't watch that. I've seen pictures and stuff of it. It's not the one. That's not the one that's on Yahoo television, is it? No, that's not it. The one with the. No, I know about it, but I've never watched it. There's about 3 shows that's coming to mind that, you know, when I hear Space Command, I'm getting them confused. No, Spank70, I don't watch Twin Peaks. I'm of course very familiar with Twin Peaks. I was very interested in seeing it when it came back, but I just never got around to it. Isn't that on Stars? And I don't think I had Stars at the time. Well, I don't have Stars now, but there was. The thing is, there's so many great shows coming out, and when they come out all at the same time, it's like, oh crap, I can't watch all of them. I can only watch a handful of these shows. Remember back in the day, there was like 3 shows, like 3 really great shows, and everybody's seen it. You can actually run into somebody on the street and they saw the show that you saw, and you can chat about it. Now everybody has different shows. There's like 80 different great shows, and everybody only watches a handful of them, so nobody's seen the same shows. Out of My Head says, do you read any print SF? I'm not getting the SF reference, I'm sorry. Super fancy. Do you read any print super fancy? Do you read any print sci-fi? I don't know. I don't get the question. I'm sorry. Oh, do you read sci-fi? You know, I don't read anything anymore. I listen to it on Audible. This episode is brought to you by audible.com. No, it's not. But Audible, if you're watching, think about it, man. I listened to Audible, and I just recently finished listening to Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. So freaking amazing. And I also just finished listening to Armada by Ernest Cline. So freaking amazing, you guys. Both those books. And those are the only 2 books Ernest Cline has. Oops, hitting things. And I'm desperate for him to come out with a new book. So right now I'm listening to American Gods by Neil Gaiman. Just barely started that. I've been familiar with that book forever, but I never really got into it. So now I'm getting into it because I want to check out that show. Chet Sandberger says, what's a book? It's like that episode of Star Trek, the original series. What is Kiss? What is book? In the Orville, it's, what is Glory Hole? Spank78 says, American Gods is another good show. Yeah, I really want to get into that. It has, not only does it have David Tennant in it, I believe, but it also has, what's his face? I know his name, but he's, from Deadwood. What is friend? Tyler X2FO1 says. Yeah, Mr. P8680 says, Ready Player One is going to be a great movie. It's every movie. Well, it's at least every movie from the 80s. Well, I think this Ready Player One, the movie, is going to be more 90s based from what I've heard. I haven't watched the trailer for it. I wanted to finish the book first, so I've been purposely avoiding it, but eventually I'm going to get into that. Ian McShane, that's exactly it. And I know his name too. I just had a brain fart. I love Ian McShane. Yeah, Spank78. Ian McShane is good at playing grizzly old dudes. Now what if... Now, Ian McShane shows up in a lot of TV shows in the last few years. He could possibly do a cameo on the Orville. He can show up as, you know, a bad guy captain or a good guy captain or a tough admiral. I think if they put him on the show, it'd be like a, you know, something to do with the Union. All right, Captain Jesse says the blue guy, Rob Blue, seems familiar from one episode of Star Trek TNG. Huh, I wonder what... I'll have to watch... Well, when I watch the episode tomorrow, I'll keep that in mind, and I'll figure out what that might be. Out of my head says the trailer for Ready Player One makes it look like they're departing from the 80s setting. Yeah, it makes sense. Out of my head, I would think that they, you know, someone told me they were doing more 90s. I go, well, that makes sense because 90s stuff is very popular right now. Anytime you'll see, if you look, you'll see a lot of 90s stuff in modern television and movies coming into play, because that's what's, you know, every 20 years, whatever was popular 20 years ago starts becoming a little bit popular again and being referenced a lot more, because the people that were young at that age are now at that age where they want to see shiz from when they were younger. That's just the way it goes. Wait a minute, what? Charlie Brown says, Ego, did you hear about the news? About the accusation of Chloe from Smallville is apparently second in charge of a sex cult. Just hit the mainstream news. No actual proof or interviews from ex-members. What? That's crazy. Well, at least, you know, sex cult, that's usually legal stuff, right? You know, everybody's, you know, whatever that word is, where you agree to something. Mutual, I don't know. Or maybe it's not. It has the word cult. That's a bad word. Ah, Charlie Burnell says, Ego, what's your view on BBC choosing a female for the next Doctor? I'm actually okay with it, because the Doctor's been around so long. We're actually lucky to have any Doctor Who at all. I mean, this show's been on for a kabillion years. It's insane that when they, you know, brought it back in 2005, that it's still going on all these years later, and will continue to go on because it's that popular. I'm fine with it. I mean, I know they really had to change some rules around and work them into the storylines the last couple of years so that they can make it possible. You know, but I'm fine with it. As long as she's good. If she's good, I don't care. Because the Doctor has never been, you know, he looks like a man, but as far as the Doctor knows, the Doctor has no idea what he is. He doesn't know how to be a man or a woman. He just knows how to be the Doctor, or she knows how to be the Doctor. So I'm completely fine with that. And actually, since you bring that up, my next series I'm going to focus on, not after the Orville, because the Orville is going to be Talking the Orville is going to continue on as long as the Orville is in existence, and even after the series ends someday, there'll be a few episodes, you know, after the fact to wrap it all up. So I'm gonna, you know, after the Orville stops airing, I'm gonna slow down with Orville episodes a little bit, but still come out, because there's a lot of character spotlights. There's gonna be a lot more information coming out to collect and figure out. But my next series, starting with the Christmas special that I'm going to focus on and have a whole show dedicated to, is going to be Talking Doctor Who. We're going to be getting into Doctor Who, you guys. And then, of course, it'll be a short season, because Doctor Who seasons are pretty short. Well, Talking the Orville's short, because the Orville's only 13 episodes this season. So I hope you guys like Doctor Who, because that's what I'm going to be talking about. I don't know if I'll be doing 3 or 4 episodes per week with Doctor Who, but, you know, at least 1 or 2, because I still got to fit in Orville episodes, you guys. I actually stopped doing, you guys might remember, I was doing character spotlight episodes. I actually stopped doing those for now, because, you know, I started realizing, hey, there's just not enough info about these characters yet, because the season hasn't finished. So I'm actually going to save all the character spotlight episodes till after all the episodes of the Orville have aired, and then we'll get into those. I'll do And also, there's a few episodes of The Orville I never did a review of, so I'll be doing those as well. And that way, you know, anybody who wants to, I'll have every single episode of The Orville reviewed. Isn't that nice and talked about? Spank78 says, I haven't watched Doctor Who since the 80s. Oh, man, you're missing out on some good stuff. Not all of it was great, but, oh, God, there's some great Doctor Who to have been watching the last 12 years. Turrican Rex says, David Tennant was the best Doctor Who. Well, some people would disagree with you, Turrican Rex, but I'm not one of them. He's my favorite. In fact, if you were in my kitchen right now, I have a big old framed, not framed, more of the canvas style box thing of David Tennant art. Because I love me some David Tennant as the Doctor. Charlie Bernal says, Ego, do you watch anime? If you watch it, do you watch it in JP Audio Plus subs or English audio dub? No, I don't watch anime. There's some anime out there that I think is great, but it just I was watching so many other types of animation back in the day when it got to the point to get into some type of animation that, you know, of course I loved Akira, and I actually love the Animatrix. Of course, I don't think that counts. But yeah, I just never got into anime. There's so much of it. There's so much of it, you guys. I just have different types of animation styles and humor styles that I like. When it comes to animation, I always prefer comedy. Chet Sandberg, Torchwood. Yeah, Torchwood's great. Now, if Mr. Pete, if you know this, I can't remember. I heard a rumor that Torchwood's coming back, but I don't know if that's true. There's so many. They're going full-blown Doctor Who properties right now. I hear that the Doctor's daughter, I can't remember her name. She's actually married to David Tennant. I hear she's getting her own series, or at least a mini-series. I know that the first Doctor from the Christmas special coming up is going to get his own mini-series. I hear they're just going nuts. Jenny, that's it, Jenny. We got a lot of Jennies showing up on the screen here. Tyler and Accidental DM. Charlie Bernal, I never liked Torchwood. It might have been SJW influence. There's that phrase again. I loved Torchwood. It wasn't all of it great. I really ended up loving that kind of mini-series season they did. Children of something. I love that. I love that storyline. Plus also the female lead. I can't remember her name because it's been so long. I love her. That girl's my type. Just so you guys know, that girl, that Welsh girl, she's my type. I loved her. RTRM, what's going on? Do you watch 12 Monkeys, the TV series, Jimmy? No, I'm actually very interested in watching that. I remember when they announced they were doing it and actually saw some trailers for it. I was very interested in watching it. But again, it's just one of those things. There was like 24 shows to watch all at the same time. And so I wasn't able to get to that. But I think it's on Netflix, or at least it used to be. So there have been a few times where I'm like, oh, should I watch that right now? Should I get into that? But I just didn't do it because I was probably doing a YouTube video. Fractured Vision is saying, okay, good night. I don't know if you're saying that to somebody, if you're saying that to us. If so, good night, Fractured Vision. If not so, what's up, Fractured Vision? And good night to whoever you're talking to. No Orville here, Fractured Vision? What's up with that? Chet Sandberg says, which Welsh girl? The Gwen, that's it. Tyler, man, Tyler, you know what's going on. Gwen. I love Gwen. That is my type. Oh, Charlie Bernal, now you're talking here. Do you play video games? If so, on PC or KBM or console with joypad? I am a console guy. I have a PS4 and I have a PS4 Pro. And actually my original plan, now I love playing video games, but I never get to because I'm always working on Egotastic FunTime. I go to work, and then when I get home from work, I do Egotastic FunTime all week long for the last 2.5 years. But I love video games, And my original plan was after this at 9 o'clock, I was going to stop this show, go over to Twitch, and we were going to play some games because I now was invited today by Twitch to become a affiliate or a partner or whatever. I had all the criterias, and so they said, okay, people can now subscribe to your channel and you can be part of this and that. So I was going to do that, but then I was like, no, I'm not going to do that today because I did work all day and I'm doing this and I'm having a great time. I should probably not get involved in playing video games that late at night because I'll be up way too late, and then because I got to go back to work in the morning, guys. This sucks. This sucks. Got to do it though. But I do plan on now that Twitch is up and running, I plan on making time every single week, if not a couple times a week, and streaming on Twitch. Sometimes games, sometimes a show like this, just like we're doing now. Sometimes, you know, while I'm hanging out, I might be designing a shirt or doing something for the show, editing, and I'll actually project onto the screen what I'm doing so you guys can see and we can chat and share. Chet Sandberg says, JP, what's your day job? Well, my day job is being the boss of the world. No, I just work I'm just a lowly worker at a print shop where I print things, which is why I'm able to have, you know, stuff like this and stuff like my background that you guys see. And it's not my passion. It pays just enough. So I'm happy. It didn't used to pay enough and I was very unhappy, but now it pays just enough, so I'm cool with it. But I'd really just like to make Orville videos all damn day. But that's not gonna happen, but that's fine. Cause this is what I have fun doing. Even when I'm editing and it's just like, oh, hours and hours go by, I'm still having fun because I'm creating something. So it's satisfying work. And the fact that you guys watch it and like it and give it a thumbs up and a subscribes, don't forget to share and you know, all that stuff really makes it worth it to me. I was doing just as much work, you know, 2 years ago, a year ago, 2 months ago, just as much work as I'm doing now with the Orville, and nobody was watching it. So this is very nice. I knew if I just stuck in there, somebody would finally find me and think my stuff's all right. Chet Sandberg says, I'm writing novels. What kind of novels are you writing? Naughty fan fiction about the Orville? I get a lot of people asking questions about Orville fan fiction. I know that somebody put out an Orville, like a radio type drama type thing. I can't find it. Well, I didn't look very hard, but I know there's something out there. Somebody did something. I'm eventually going to find it and find out what that's about. But I'm sure there's probably some Alara Bordis fan fiction out there. Chet is writing urban fantasy right now, but all genres appeal, even romance. Yes, romance. Sail away with me, Chet, on a romantic urban fantasy voyage. Tyler X2 FO1 says, oh no, all that Alara fanfic, you guys are sick. Guys are sick. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Dudes are sick, and I'm a dude, so I know. You can trust me on this. I was talking with my ex, and you know, the conversation we've had many times. She's like, oh, you know, I like some naughty stuff too. I'm like, no, you don't. Think of something really sick and perverted that you never even imagine would happen. There's a dude that's into that. And she's like, oh my god, really? Yep, really. You think of the weirdest damn thing you could think of, there's a dude into that. Beyond News says, oh my god, so funny, you will like it. I'm guessing you're talking about the latest episode of the Orville. Yes, I hear that tonight's episode is supposed to be one of the funnier, lighter episodes. And from the preview that we watched earlier, between the two warring factions, it seems like, yeah, it's definitely gonna be funny. Because those two factions, which by the way, I got the names reversed. The Navarians and the Bruidians, I had them wrong. It's switched. Not that it matters. they seem like whiny little bitches, even though they look really tough and scary. I mean, the Bruidians look like, you know, giant, you know, tough ogre types, and then the other ones look like, you know, mystical monsters. But they're all like, I don't like you. Dang, Charlie Brownow. You go get the X to search for 3 girls, 1 cup. That's 1 girl more. Same amount of cups, but an extra girl. That's even grosser. Accidental DM says definitely a lighter episode. Yes. Tyler X2 FO1 says Batleth heads. Great name. Yeah, I saw the picture. I'm like, those are 2 Batleths on the side of the head. If they were a jar of pickles and Alara had to open them, I know where she would grab to open that jar of pickles. James Forsyth says, I'm coining the term Alaritarian. Get on it, people. Yeah, many of us are Alaritarians. Wait until you see next week's episode, you guys. If you go on IMDb and go to Firestorm episode, they got 2 production picks up. That's how they always start. They do when tonight's episode's going and they got next week's episode, they'll put 2 production pictures up. In a couple days they'll have like 15 or 20 so production pictures, which will be in an episode for me to share with you guys. But there's a picture of her wearing one of our favorite outfits. So we know we're going to have some cool scenes. Because, you know, in next week's episode, Lars got to work through some stuff. If you've seen my Robert Picardo episode. Well, Charlie Brunel, why do you choose console over PC platform? Well, because I never have problems with console. I used to play PC games and I was always behind the times. I was always behind on the tech. And the games would never, you know, play at the quality they were supposed to play at, and the computer would freeze up and this and that. So I finally said, okay. So I went all console, and I'm loving it because it's a little bit more laid back. You sit on the couch, blah, blah. Well, not me. I actually sit here. I have my TV right over here, which I'm thinking of hooking up my regular PS3 to, but I have my PS4, I mean. I have my PS4 Pro hooked up right here. I actually play it right here so I can stream it. And, you know, keep track of the stream and press the buttons that I need to press. Chet Sandberg, Alara's cute and brutal. She is. But also, if I have to figure out some games to play when we do the Twitch stuff, you guys. I mean, I'm a little bit behind. I'm not behind the times. I just don't have. Usually, last couple of years, any game I want, I would just buy it right away. Pre-order. But I've stepped away because, you know, these things get expensive. So we got to figure out some games to play when we're streaming on Twitch. I have, you know, Star Wars Battlefront. I was thinking maybe, actually it'd probably be fun. What I'll do is I'll set up, you know, I have Star Trek Online. I'll start a new game. I haven't played it in a very long time. I'll start a new game. I'll do Orville everything. I'll make a character that looks like a character from the Orville. I'll call my ship something Orville related. We'll do the whole thing Orville as much as we can, and then I'll stream that and we can have some fun. Plus, you guys can join in on that while we're playing, so that'd be fun. Pure Mark 403 says, how many episodes for season 2? No idea as of yet, but I'm assuming that the Orville season 2 will definitely have more than 13 episodes. How many more? I don't know. With today's television, these shows are very different than they used to be. Like Walking Dead does 15 or 16 episodes, and that's a lot for them. These big production shows might do 15 or 16, but I'm hoping we get 22 episodes and that they're all, you know, that they keep the quality up. Schnick says, I'm playing Star Trek Online right now. Yeah, I got to get back on. I have to find time to get back on Star Trek Online so I can set up. You know, that whole intro just takes forever. Well, I think you could skip it now, but it just takes forever to get anything. So I'll get things set up on there, hopefully this weekend, get all the Orville stuff going, and then I'll start streaming that. I want to try to keep it sci-fi related, though I do want to get the new South Park game, because I love the first South Park game. That would be fun. Yeah, Schnick says you can skip it. Yeah, I think I dived into it a couple months ago for about an hour just to see what was up with it, and yeah, I think it let me skip it. Kenny Kent, third time here. What's up? Chet Samberg says Alara is really a blonde though. Ick. Yeah. Right. I feel ya. I feel ya. Of course, girls are whatever hair color they decide to have their hair color. That's just the way it goes. James Forsyth says, have you played Ark Survival Evolved? No, but I know all about it. That's the 4-player Monster Hunter game. I've watched, back when it first came out, I watched a bunch of online streams of it. I was very close buying it, but I think I can get that game for almost next to nothing at this point. So I might get that, and then, you know, that'd be a fun one. That'd be a fun one to play. Yeah, Tyler asks, any Orville cosplays yet? I'm genuinely curious. I haven't seen any as of yet, but I'm not even guessing. I am positive that you are going to see Orville cosplay up the wazoo, or whatever the very next convention coming up is going to be that has cosplay. Expect to see some Bortises, expect to see some Darulios, expect to see a lot of Alaras. You know, there's going to be some dude that puts together the most amazing Isaac outfit. I wouldn't even be surprised if you see a Yaphet crawling around the floor. Actually, you know what sci-fi game I have, and every time I play it, I'm like, why did I get back and trying to play this game again? Is No Man's Sky. That game is like, I appreciate the game, but it's like you just got to have nothing in your life to do in order to do anything in that game. That thing is just time of just hanging out. I actually had this thing I wanted to do with that game, and actually stream it and record it. Is I wanted to do a playthrough, not even a playthrough because I don't think there's an ending to that game, but a playthrough where I never leave the original planet that you start out on. Just travel that whole planet and never leave it. Just do whatever I can do on it. So, is there anybody else that's been watching the episode that's still here? Actually, let's see who's still here. We got, let me get on my screen here. We got 54 people. Isn't this great? And I can't wait to see how long it takes for this stream to be flagged. Usually once it starts going, it gets flagged. Every video I do now gets flagged, you guys, at least for the first day or two. Actually, let me look and see. My Rob Lowe episode was instantly flagged as soon as I made it public, like the second that I made it public. And as of starting the stream, I know it was flagged. Let's see if it's still flagged. Come on, interwebs. Yep, still flagged. It's almost at 3,000 views and it's still flagged. Into the Fold, my review was flagged instantly as well. But they unflagged it today. Of course, it got most of the views it was going to get. And then they unflagged it, which is what they do with every single video now. They wait until most of the views are gone, and then they unflag it. And then that way, they save some money, you guys. Thanks, Pure Mark 403. Love the show, bud. Keep it up. Hey, I will keep it up. I got people on that have that are now supporting me on Patreon, which is amazing. And so I have to do the show. People are paying me to do the show. I mean, you know, it's $1 here, you know, $2 there. One dude did $10. I was like, whoa. So now I owe at least these 13 people, I owe them a couple episodes every week. Thanks a lot, Captain Jesse. We'll keep it up. Chet Sandberg, this is why capitalism sucks. Yes, it does. But hey, we're lucky that YouTube, let me suck some YouTube balls real quick. We're lucky that YouTube even lets us do this, I guess. I mean, people are connecting, you know. Years before I started YouTube, people made money at YouTube. Good for those people. I mean, that's not for me. That's not what I'm going to do, but I'm happy to be able to build an audience and chat and have something to do. Oh, Chet Sandberg says, where's your patron, JP? Well, I got it here. Let me get the address, but it's Egotastic FunTime. Patreon, and Patreon's a weird thing. Isn't it cool that we can do that? All right, I'll pull up a link if it lets me. Of course. Everything takes a long time, you guys. I'm sorry, that's just the way the internet is nowadays. Good old internet. All right, here we go. JP's little Talking the Orville page. But of course, you know, I'll give you the link, but don't feel like you have to support me on Patreon. Though, when you do support me on Patreon, I give you a shout out in the videos, which is, you know, pretty giving of me. You guys give me something to talk about, so actually I just appreciate having a name to say. Oh man, you know, we should talk about that some. Charlie Burnell. Ego, if you want bad internet, come to Australia. It's really bad. I've heard that before. I couldn't even imagine. I mean, you know, we got crazy fast internet here, and then, you know, I'm doing the 5K internet stream here, which is amazingly fast, but at the same time, if there's even one hiccup, if I have to wait 1 extra second for something to load up, I get so pissed. Isn't that the crazy world we live in nowadays? I'm like, God damn it, why is this taking so long? I've been here for 1.5 seconds. Tyler says, it says to give them all your money for the outro. That's true. And what's funny was that is when I came up with that song, all I was doing was listening to the backing track, and I had no words or anything like that. And I was thinking about YouTube all the time, and thinking about YouTube, and I was thinking about, oh, getting subscribers and stuff like that. And I just watched a video about YouTube money or something like that, and so I instantly came up with, give me all your money. And I was just trying to make somebody laugh, but it was so catchy that I kept it. It ain't about money for YouTube. It's about censorship. They've got an agenda big time. They do have an agenda. I think it's about money and censorship. I think the money led to the censorship is what happened. Wow. Charlie Burnell says, Ego, I got 25/5. Before that, I was 4.05. It took me 2.5 hours to upload 15 minutes at 480p clip. Oh my God. 2 hours. Sometimes, like, you know, I'll have, you know, one of my videos are like 5 or 6 minutes, and it's very rarely, usually it takes 5 or 6 minutes to upload, but I think an episode 2 weeks ago took 45 minutes. Actually, my season 2 announcement episode, that was a 3-minute video that I recorded in my car, that took 45 minutes to upload. 3 minutes. And that's just the thing that YouTube does sometimes. Sometimes they have to, you know, close the pipeline a little bit because there's too much stuff coming in. So sometimes just a tiny, small little video will take forever. But man, if that happens to you every single time you upload, that sucks. This is 2017. I want everything now, right now. Give it to me. Spank78 says, yeah, but YouTube could have been a platform that replaced television, but they've alienated so many of their content creators. They really did. But hey, Spank78, they didn't alienate any of the TV content creators that moved over to YouTube and puts their TV stuff onto YouTube. They let that stuff right through. So basically, they're becoming the new TV by just putting the regular TV stuff. I mean, anytime I go on YouTube, it's just saying, hey, watch Jimmy Fallon, watch Jimmy Kimmel, watch... Well, I love watching Conan, so... But they don't even say that as much. They want all that primetime late night stuff they just shove it down. I don't even subscribe to any of it, though. I like that stuff, but it's like, come on, back in the day, you go on YouTube and regular people, regular creators would be on this, on the main page. Tyler says, cough, Jimmy Kimmel cough. Charlie Brown says, I visited Japan with an Airbnb in 2016. It took 7 minutes to upload 4 gig. Wow. Upload 4 gigs. That's crazy. Yeah, internet's not equal all over the world, you guys. Not all internet is equal. Now, one thing that I want to figure out for one of our future streams, I'm hoping I can figure this out while the Orville is still airing. So hopefully in a week or two. I mean, I can figure it out. It's just I want to make sure my computer can do it. Is I want to have Skype set up and put on the screen here, maybe in a corner, so that you guys, and I'll give you guys a link, and then you guys can call in and be in the little waiting room lobby of Skype, and I'll let you guys in on the show, and we can chat, face to face, some of us, and maybe play some games, maybe do some trivia. Maybe I'll have 3 of you lined up, and I'll ask trivia questions, and whoever answers first, hopefully there's no lag time. Whoever answers first, and gets the correct answer, wins adoration from all of us. I don't know, something like that. But I think actually, doing some interviews with you guys, or whoever, maybe Laura, maybe Halston Sage will be on the show someday. But it could happen. Charlie Burnell says, I find more factual news from YouTubers than mainstream news. From what I've seen, mainstream news no longer fact checks. It's about, there's that phrase again, SJW and feminist narrative pushing. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched news in a very, very long time. I always read it. And even nowadays, as most of us are guilty of, which is also something that was brought up in Minority Rule episode of the Orville. I just kind of look at the headlines real quick, and I'm like, okay, that tells me everything I need to know. Because if I go in there, it's just going to be all a bunch of BS and repeating the same stuff over and over again. Plus, every story that you read now, the next day there'll be a correction saying, okay, actually that wasn't true. This is what's really true. And then the next day after that, say, okay, actually the correction wasn't true either. You just don't know what to believe anymore. Alright, I see some stuff coming up that might be spoilers, but also proves that some of my predictions were correct about tonight's episode. Cupid's Dagger. Scotty Richard Studio, hey, what's up? Let's do some Orville fan fiction. Like right now? Like right now we'll do it? Okay, I'll start off. Alara got out of bed and left him behind as she got dressed. Now you guys, I started it, you guys finish it. So it seems like every week I'm learning a little bit more how to work this open broadcast program, though I never even look at it until I start the show, and then I just figure out stuff again. But also I've figured out how to make a Talking the Orville screensaver. It goes like this. Whoa, whoa. Anybody want a Talking the Orville screensaver? Whoa, doot, doot. Never exactly hits the middle. Yeah, Spank78 says, anyway, it's just a shame that they focus so much on what words are being used instead of what the general message is that channels like this one have to suffer. I'm suffering. Yeah, well, also, I don't even think it has anything I used to think it had to do with words. I think if you get like a strike, there might be some words in your video that the robots didn't understand. But now I don't think it has anything to do with any words at all. I think they just flag everything that might get views for a little bit so that they can, save some money. Because if they do that with enough videos, which they're doing YouTube-wide, everybody's having this problem, you guys. You know, that all adds up within a day, and they probably save thousands upon thousands of dollars every day. Turkin Rex, on the official Orville YouTube channel, there are some clips from today's episode. Yes, there are. There's we played one at the beginning of this episode where Ed is talking with the two warring factions. There's another episode between Ed and Kelly that I did not play, and I didn't even watch it because it probably reveals a little bit more about, you know, this is going to be an Ed and a Kelly episode, I'm pretty sure, so I didn't want to reveal too much, and I didn't want to learn too much because I want it to be a surprise as well. You know, I spoiler alerted myself with that one. That's right, Spank78. He says, it's ridiculous. You do the work. You should reap the rewards. Well, I'm all about reaping rewards, but, you know, you guys being here is a bit of a reward. Because, trust me, I've been doing this a long time, and there was nobody here. Go back 2 months. You'll see my videos have, like, I'll have a video I spent, you know, 5 hours doing. It's got, like, 30 views. Don't watch any of that stuff. Well, actually, some of it's pretty good. But don't go further back. Don't go years back. Man, don't do it. It took me a long time to figure out my voice. My voice is the Orville. Now, also last week we learned that Isaac can mimic voices, which of course he can. Mr. Data can do that as well. I wonder if they bring that into, you know, he did this really cool creepy story, whatever rabbit story for Ty and Marcus, you know, which is great. And I love the fact that you hear Dr. Finn's voice, but you see Isaac, you know, doing gestures, which is really cool that he knows how to do that, though they're probably pre-programmed. But I'm hoping he uses that ability to play another prank on Gordon. Maybe, you know, Gordon gets a call from his mother or something like that, or ex-girlfriend, which would sound, you know, ex-girlfriend who's really pissed at him. Maybe he says, oh, I'm pregnant, you know, something like that. Tricks him. Carlos Gallardo says, I subscribe to your channel because of the Orville. Yeah, I think that's what everybody does. It's really great. Actually, you know, what's really cool is I went on the Orville YouTube page, YouTube channel, and on the side scroller where, you know, it says related channels, my channel was right there. I was like, holy shit. You know, there's the Late Show with David Letterman, and then underneath that was Egotastic FunTime, and I was like, what? That's crazy. Yes, Chet Sandberg, both Star Trek and the Orville are post-capitalist. You guys realize that, right? Yes, we do. Now, we didn't learn that officially. Now, of course, with Star Trek, we know that. They don't have money. They don't use money. But, you know, we weren't sure about that with the Orville, definitely until Minority Rule, when Captain Mercer, before Kelly and the away team go on a mission, Ed hands them money, and they go, what's this? And they go, it's money. And they're like, what's that? It's like, you know, it's pieces of paper you give them to people, and they'll give you things or do things for you. And they're like, that's weird. So then we got the official proof that, yes, there's no money on Earth anymore. Probably just replicating everything, just like in Trek. Thanks, Karen Tell Kitten. I like being on the live chats. This is fun. Yes, it is fun. I like it. It's I'm nervous every time I do this. I'm always very nervous because I'm like, oh god, how's it gonna go? But you guys make it so easy. We just chat. We just talk. And yeah, I've been wanting to do live shows for a couple years. Once I figured out that was a thing, but I was always like, no, I have no idea. You know, I did a couple of, you know, let's plays because I'm like, well, you play the game and you chat while you're playing the game, so that's easy. But just looking at a camera and talking with people, that's crazy. But it's not bad. It's great because we're all here. We're all friends. We're all new friends. We're all besties. But what about the guy trying to sell time weapons to the Krill? Pure Mark 403 says, I don't know. I don't remember who that was. A guy trying to sell time weapons to the Krill. If it's a now, and that's also, I mean, money could come back because In the Priya episode, now that you mentioned this whole thing, in the Priya episode, Priya is from the 29th century, or the 29th century, and she sells these artifacts to the highest bidder. These, you know, things that she takes from time. So it could be that money comes back again. You know, we're at this point in the 25th century where we got rid of money, but then, you know, hundreds of years go by, things change, of course, and maybe money comes back. Oh, that time machine where it brings things forward in time, yeah. Well, it could be, okay, I know exactly what you're talking about now. The guy that killed the lady with time. It could be he wanted to sell it not for Earth money, but for space money. He wanted to buy things in space and not buy them, you know, on Earth. Because, you know, even in Trek's, you know, even in Trek, you know, Earth didn't have money, but they still had to use, what was it, Latinum? That's, you know, they use that stuff all the time. Yes, Schnick, that's it. You know, the Federation doesn't use money. Latinum. But they still need money. They just don't need money on Earth. Gold pressed latinum because reasons. That is the reasons because. Ah, Charlie Burnell, Ego, what's your view on UBI, Universal Basic Income? Oh man, I don't know. There's, as far as universal, you mean Earth-wide? Or just, you know, as a theory for a sci-fi show? I don't know. It all depends, because every place, everybody's situation, every state, every country requires a different resources that all cost a different amount. But of course, as far as sci-fi goes, as far as Earth goes on in the Orville verse, which is, I just coined that term, the Orville verse, is they replicate everything just like they did in Trek. If you need a pillow that says have a slimy day, you can just replicate that pillow. If you need a brick of weed, you just replicate that brick of weed like Kelly did in episode 2. In the West, aka the EU, the UK, the AU, the New Zealand, and then the USA. Well, in the USA we have the minimum wage, but it's very minimum. You can't live on it. So that's one of the big issues that we have here. But you know, I don't want to get into that crazy stuff. That's too exciting of a topic for this show. You know, the amount of money people make. They're trying to raise it, but then of course everyone's like, we got to raise everything else, this and that, and it's like, oh well, just give me some money. Give me all your money. Give me all your money. Yeah, Ben Quintanilla says, I love Q. I would like to see a Q version in this show. Yeah, a Q type character, an omnipotent being. Yeah, this comes up sometimes. It's tough because the Orville wants to, you know, give a nod to some of these things that would happen in Trek, but they're getting to that point where they're like, well, we don't want to go too far because we are doing our own thing at this point. I think a lot of these parallels that we're all wanting, I think they'll just give quick little jokes about, little nods to things like that. But you know, will they eventually have some character that is so powerful? But it's really just maybe they're so evolved. Uh-oh, you guys. That's the timer. Hold on a second. Alexa, stop. That means it's about time to wrap this up. But I do want to see a Q-type character. I just don't know if it'll be a full storyline type of thing that they do with it, or if it's just like, you know, somebody mentions something. Oh, I once met a god, and you know, he made a mariachi band appear, you know, something like that. But we have talked about wanting John Delancey to do a cameo on the show, which I think he's very gettable, and I think he is an actor that is probably on Seth MacFarlane's mind because Seth is very 90s Trek, just like many of us are. He's very 90s Trek oriented. And I'm sure all those great actors and great characters are all spinning in his head right now, and he wants to figure out a way to get something on the show with that. All right, Nick Mason. Oh my God, JP, when you see this, you're going to have so much to talk about. I think it's going to be a two-parter. Oh man, do you know how hard it is to do these review episodes? But I'm going to work all weekend on it, you guys, I swear. Great chat. Good night, JP, and all the Redenbachers. Yes, YouTube user. Let's say some goodbyes because it's time to start wrapping this up. And, you know, I'm going to wrap it up the best way possible. I'm going to say goodbye to all of you guys by saying, okay, that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about today, and we talked about it. I hope you all had a great time in the live stream super chat pre-show explosion. I know that I did, and I hope many of you enjoyed tonight's episode of The Orville, Cupid's Dagger. I can't wait to see it mañana, which is Spanish for tomorrow, Rosetta Stone. And I hope all your times are good times, but I do want to say some goodbyes to you guys. So let's get the list up here, which should be able to be seen on the screen. I don't know. Let's see if it is available on the screen. I don't think it is. I think it's only for my eyes only. Goodbye, Chet Sandberg, Deku Scrublord, Doom Turkey 83, Fractured Vision, Hipfire Gaming, James Forsyth, Jeff Stamper, Karen Tuttle, Kitten, Kenneth LaRock, or LaRocca? LaRoque, Kenny Kent, Nerd of Anarchy, Nick Mason, Paz McGraws, Pedro Serrano, Pierre Mark 403, Richard Lane, Schnick, Spanked 78, The Accidental DM, Tina Baby, Turkin Rex from Germany, Tiger Heart, there you are, Web Duelist, and YouTube user. I love you guys. I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited for the Orville, and I wish all of you a wonderful night. Let me press some more buttons here so we can do this thing in style, which is me just saying good night, everybody.
You're... Oh my God.
Fox Thursday.
Where are the captain and the commander?
An old rival returns.
All the buttons. I'm clicking them all.
Sends the ship into chaos.
All right, see you guys. Bye.
Raise deflectors.
This is not good.
The Orville, starring Seth MacFarlane. All new Thursday, or anytime on demand or Fox Now.
Wait, before you click away, do me a favor.